Good morning, Dreamporters. So honored to be in your presence, to be in your witness, and to share some of the wisdom that I've been blessed with through my experience of my lifetime, through being born into a very conscious yogi Jedi family and community, and also born with very specific gifts that took me a while to figure out what to do with, what they meant, and why it was such a differentiation point in this lifetime and among other humans that as a child I really couldn't relate to. And I was born with abilities that allow me to see, feel, hear, and experience 5 different dimensional realities of every single human's experience. And before I flatlined in my early 20s for 2 minutes, before that I wasn't able to really control the level of information that was coming through. And the whole idea of being psychic was stressing me out because I didn't want to know everything that was coming at me. And fix this, and what about this, and constantly, right? And the most irritating thing for me as a child was when adults would lie, and I didn't get it. It really creeped me out. I was like, why would you do that to yourself? Do you even know what you're doing to your cellular structure right now? Their cells, everything in their body would reframe, their brain, their twitch, their emotions would start to get all wonky. So we're gonna talk about what has come through as the physics of love, the physics of energy, the physics of being a 5-dimensional being. And I'm going to refer to a couple of different stories that from clients in my last 20 years of mentoring leaders around the world to really up-level them past any kind of healing trauma or drama to thrive beyond circumstances. Because when we actually are able to feel and see the logistics, the equations. So this is where we get to geek out because I'm a social scientist, I'm a spirit geek, and I love the math. And that's what I was able to see is that, what I realized is that I'm seeing the sacred geometry of the physical body at a cellular level. So you can see if cells are spherical or if they're wobbly or if they're damaged in some way. What the emotional expression of that is. Right? I talked about issues in your tissues yesterday a little bit. Well, those issues in your tissues get suppressed and condensed, and that condensed energy creates then this energetic emittance of how you feel about yourself, right? What's that story in your tissues talking? And then you have your neurocognitive or your mental body system, which is then the neuropathways of habitual behavior, of social programs, of media, marketing, manipulation, all this stuff I call OPE. It's not your stuff. It's other people's energy, experiences, and environments that we are all influenced and affected by. And this is the first part in today's class, is to teach you the equation of energy and creation as love so that we can have some innocence restored to those stories, to those things that happened, right? And when we restore innocence, there's no shame, there's no blame, there's no victiming, there's not he did this and that happened to me and that doesn't exist anymore. All of a sudden, we have freedom to express what we truly feel as our own unique archetype, free of any kind of judgments or impositions of OPE, right? So that's the first part we're gonna get through. Now, the neurological processes, I also helped for most of my life, helping with traumatic brain injuries since my youngest brother was dropped on his head at 6 months old, his head cracked open while I'm holding his hands, his face is going blue, and we dealt with, as a family, of regenerating his brain and helping him heal through 18 years of trauma with seizures. So the neurological pathways became something that I could then go, oh my God, it totally is all in your head too. Right? And we get to knowing that we have our higher self, our soul parent, however you want to communicate or refer to as your infinite light being, that is your ultimate parent to yourself. Yes, we have our physical parents, our biological donors here in this lifetime, and now that we're all grown up, we get to take full responsibility and assertive action as our soul parent unto our human and go, oh honey, we're gonna fix that right now, right? Because being manipulated, being conditioned, and living from a space of other people's imposed belief systems is where we have society in chaos right now. Now, all of us, in some way or another, are influencers to bring harmony and peace and solutions to what's currently being seen as chaos on the planet. Oh. It's necessary that all of us as leaders are very conscious and aware of our own purity, of our intentions, of our clarity, so that we can remain in that highest level of leadership. And the first stage of leadership is an awakening to the realization that you have to lead your own life. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Your parents give you the basics, society, family, other kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, we want you to do it like this. We want you to do you. That's what's most important to bring back to the dynamic of this planet. That's what the prophecies are all about. We'll get into the timelines of the prophecies a little bit more here in a minute. So now we get through the physical, the emotional body, the mental body, because what we're going to be doing today is switching our belief systems of anything that you thought less than of yourself, or any projections, any reflections or stuff that could just be that little tiny thing that's kind of hanging on. That little tiny thing that's just like that little monkey mind, ego, sneaky, tricky little dude. That's what's in the way. That is what can be blocking you from your masterful abilities, from seeing the truest light within yourself, from being able to embrace everyone without judgment, right? That's when you step into some real leadership. That's when you're at that place of Marcus Aurelius of, I don't need to tell anybody I'm emperor. They know because I lead as one, right? Wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning, salutes the sun. You just do your thing. You be it, the living example. And that's what we're here to do this weekend, is really shift those belief systems so that we can be in that absolute alignment. So then we have, shifting the mental game, then we have our energy body. Does everyone know what that energy body is called? Exactly, your toroid. Every single living thing, even crystals in plants and trees.
I'm sorry, did you say that again? Your
toroid, toroidal field. So the toroid is what we call our aura. And most science shows that our toroid is about 3 feet in all directions around us in this beautiful little bubble. So when people say like, man, what are you, living in a bubble? Like, yeah, I like it in here. My bubble's rad, right? What you got in your bubble? Because your energy body in your bubble is everything that you are projecting out into the world. That is how people see you when you walk into a room and they feel your energy before they hear your voice or know your name or anything else. That is what enters the room first. And that's where people know your level of authenticity, your communication, your strength, your confidence. All of those things come before you even introduce yourself, right? Oh, I felt you come, felt you walking in, oh, that's your auric field. That's where the game changing really makes a difference in the world, okay? So now that's our 4th body system. And this body system is called the miracle matrix because really we're a star body, right? So this is what the star body equation means. Now the 5th element in that is our causal body or our soul body. This is where our karmic contracts, the why am I here things get answered in the causal body, okay? So most of us that are on the spiritual path and awakening and ascension, we have a pretty good essence of what that feels like. Does everyone pretty much know what their purpose is? Okay, beautiful. So now let's get ready to take some notes, okay? So the essence of creation has, any questions before we get started on that part? Yes.
You mentioned 5 bodies?
5 bodies: physical, emotional, mental, energy, and causal. Thank you. And in the my school, it's called miraclematrix.academy, and there's more extensive courses on all of this, and I have the worksheets and PDFs and all kinds of goodies that's part of the whole school system. So you can check that out.
Miraclematrix.academy.
Miraclematrix.academy, correct. Okay, so now, remember our star body, right? So the cool thing about universal mathematics and geometry is that they all speak and communicate the same way, okay? It's shapes, symbols, and waves, all right? So we're going to be talking about today really simple stuff. And so in the essence of geometry and our star body, we're actually like this, okay? And then you'll see that in many other depictions of the Mandaleo, what is Da Vinci's?
Adam Cadmon.
Thank you. All of them, right? So in that, we also have a whole council of beings that are within each of our own archetypal expressions. So in our star body form, just as in the source and energy of all creation, there are basically two forms of energy, right? You're either creating or destroying. You're either expanding or you're contracting. You're either growing or you're shrinking. There is no still point of nothing ever happening in the universe, ever. It's not possible. The only consistency is change itself. It's revolving energy, right? And so, first point is, in the physics and the energy of any mental thought, any action that we take, any communication that comes out of us, any expression, is it expansive? Is it embracing? Is it rewarding and helping to grow that positive energy? Or is it compressing? Is it disassociating? Is it disregarding? There's only two ways you can go, right? Same with love. Now, this applies to gratitude, light, all the energies. Yet specifically for this equation and for today's class and for how it applies to your dreamporting, we want to focus on the love part because there's a lot of confusion and stories and definitions around what self-love is. I've had so many people just go, oh God, self-love. Oh my God, again, really? Right? It's like, oh, I just want to get out of my human body. No, you better love that while you're here. So important. And that's a big part of what I get to talk to in the conscious community because there's a lot of people that feel like, oh, I just can't wait to get back to my spaceship and my star body and my this and my that and everything. We're all pretty lucky to have these vessels right now, so you better love that first. So on that point, we have, I may require someone to help me hold this. Can we get a holder, please? Thank you.
Handy holder.
Handy dandy. What's that?
Yeah, your wife on any side would be easier if I held the other side.
You like?
Sure, we can, let's see, we can either that or hold it up.
We'll be your board.
Oh, this is amazing. Thank you.
We'll be your Vanna White.
Oh, yes, okay, good. I like this. Let's see, actually for this equation, turning it upways like that is even better. Okay, can everyone see the board right now? All right, so we're gonna use this center point as us, okay? Now, from there, we have the energies that go in that direction. So real quick, again, they're either expanding or contracting. So here we have an event, right? We'll talk about events and the memorialization or the value, the weight that you put on the events in your life and how that can either slow down time or speed up time. And this is part of it. So let's say something happens. Oh.
When you're ready to rest your arm.
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
Place it on this and lean it against here. If that works for you.
Lovely. Okay.
Great. Ta-da!
You're relieved of duty. So, let's see, maybe I can go lefty. We'll try this. All right. So here's an event, right? And very simply, you're either going to take that as something positive and expand that and go, oh my God, that is the coolest divine direction of exactly what I should never do again. I fucking love you. Thank you. Now that is a positive thing, even if this right here felt like a bitch slap to your life, right? So, are you going to positively engage in an emotion, even though an event may have a seemingly or perceived judgment of an impact that could be negative or positive? You decide right then and there. This is where the neural pathways can jump lines in your brain and create new systems of operation. Okay? Now, what's happened in society is that most people have the martyr complex. Can anyone name the most famous martyr of all time in history? God bless Jesus. Yes, Jesus has been utilized as like the ultimate martyr. Do you really think an ascended master wants to see his bloody body pinned up on when he comes back? No, right? Like, give a little love. We're not meant to be hanging ourselves or our experiences or any masters on the cross for that matter, right? So from that state of the martyr mentality is when we started to have a super deep separation of the masculine and feminine by stories of victimizing shame and blame. You made me do this and it's because of you that I had to and he deserved it, da-da-da-da-da. That's what's being reversed right now in the prophecies that we're living. And it's from the simplicity of in that moment, are you going to allow yourself to go into the story of shame and blame and guilt and victimization, which is only perpetuating this downward spiral energy to grow, right? Because they feed off of whatever energy you choose to give it in that moment. Okay? Now, what's cool about this is that the innocence that happens when you realize that it's not possible for anyone to inflict a decision of your own energy management upon you. Okay? That's our decision. That's what we do right here. And this is where the psychic abilities start to get clouded in a lot of us because there's this perception of, oh, how do I react to the situation right now? If I'm embarrassed, if I'm hurt, if I'm this or that or the other, grab your ego real quick. Get a fierce grip of that ego because it's slippery sometimes, especially in the conscious path, right? And it wants us often to go into the poor me story. So the 4 states of consciousness in the Buddhist philosophy, first state is the martyr or the victim. Life happened to me, okay? That's where 80% of society has been programmed. Again, not their fault. They just don't know that they don't know. They've been programmed to believe that their condition is because of something or someone else, the suppression, the resistance, the control, right? So they're conditioned to that belief system. Life happened to me. Second step, life happens for me.
What is that called?
That is the, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
It's in the file back there somewhere. So third step, so life happens for me. Now you can see, like in retrospect, oh, actually that one thing that I was tripping over that I felt was like really harsh and traumatic, imagine that 6 months later it actually worked out for my highest good. Yet in that moment you didn't quite see it. When you can reflect on it, now you're getting to that stage of life happens for me, okay? Third state of ascended consciousness, life happens through me. Whoa. I'm like in the law of attraction. I'm now feeling like synchronicities are starting to happen, all these little miraculous events. I'm being guided, right? So now that's stage 3. Stage 4, life happens as me. You are the co-creator. Everything that you do is who you are, okay? That's the point we want to get to, is who I am is what I do, right? There's no separation between the expression of your archetypes, your joys, your passion, which creates the equation of prosperity. Real quick, the equation of prosperity is a megahertz mathematical plus and minus thing. Play at the frequency of joy plus purpose. Play plus purpose. Okay? Purpose is that which brings you the greatest service. That's what brings you the greatest joy to be of service. Those 2 things, joy plus purpose, or play plus purpose, joy plus service, whatever, equals 1,000 hertz, which is exactly the equation or the numerical frequency of prosperity. That's why when you love what you do, right? So who I am is what I do. That's the fourth stage of consciousness. Everybody with me so far? Yeah. Any questions?
Just that equation again, play at frequency of joy.
Play at the frequency of joy plus purpose at the frequency of service equals prosperity. 40 plus 560 hertz or something like that. Okay, so now, knowing that we know that, let's jump into some psychic skills and intuitive abilities. Everyone here has the ability, the power, the gifts to be 100% clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, all of them. Does everyone know your specific clair? You know what clairs are? Cool. Clairs, she's a girlfriend from 4th grade. No. Clair means clear inner, right? Clarity. Clarity of what? Clarity of sight is clairvoyance. Now, there's 2 different types of each one of these abilities that can be perceived in our outside 3D world, right? Clairvoyance, you can see a billboard on the freeway that all of a sudden, that was for me, that answers my question, I just dreamed about that, oh my God, there it is, right? So clairvoyance can come to you in those signs and symbols in real life. Now, clairvoyance can also come to you as dream state, visions, right? Sights and things that we perceive. Now, clairaudience is that of hearing, right? So, yeah, you're hearing things, right? Everyone's hearing different things. Now, it could be, again, it could be an audible thing. It could be you're, going somewhere and you hear somebody say something passing by, yet that was the key for you. Never see them again, but that word synced in, that was your message, right? Or a favorite song, some beautiful song comes on, boom, triggers, opens up. That's clairaudience, just as much as it is when some of us that channel hear the channeling voices, hear light language, hear tonal frequencies. That's also clairaudience. Okay, now the important thing to feel into as I'm describing each one of these, because there's 6 of them, is feel into, and if you have a notepad, write down an experience that you had, a memory, some kind of symbological connection that reminds you, oh yeah, I have that superpower too. Okay, and if not, then, oh yeah, that's that one time that somebody else did. Relate it to something that you know within yourself, because when you do that, remember the 5 body systems? When you pull a rememorialization out of your back files, then it gets hit with a neurocognitive transmitting chemical, and it sets a regroove of memorialization in your body that pulls up an emotional reaction or a sensation to it that then gives you a cellular feeling, which we call clairsentience or clear inner feeling. Okay, that's what we call mother's intuition, angel bumps, when you get butterflies in your stomach. All of those sensory feelings are clairsentience. So while clairsentience is known as mother's intuition, claircognizance is known as masculine intuition. Everybody know this guy? Right? Think. No, actually, he's not thinking. He's receiving, he's channeling, he's downloading, he's going, oh, I just know that I know that I know. Nobody has to tell me anything because it's divine wisdom that I know. That knowing beyond any possible doubt, any fact, any reference, that's claircognizance. That's the intuitive ability of inventors, of Edison, of Tesla, Einstein. And they all think it's thinking. No, this is knowing. This is your knowing system, okay? So I like to call this your universal guidance system. It's like a GPS, but for your human. So utilizing this UGS system, we get to first start with our strongest, most dominant clair, so that that rememorization process gets stronger and it becomes more of a muscle, and then your other cellular memories of your past lives, of your ancestors, of your star body, everything else, all those other systems can start to come online. That's important that we start with the strongest hook first, okay? Now the last two, they're much more sensitive, more subtle, right? And these are all subtle energies that are our superhero strengths. So the last two have to do very similarly with taste and smell. That's clairgustance and clairalliance. Clairalliance is the clear inner knowing of smell. That's when you could, maybe smell something cooking that's not, yet you know it's your grandmother's special recipe who's passed, right? Or grandfather's cigar smoke, or something like that, of a presence that comes around you that is a very physical type, tangible experience, yet it's an energetic communication. Same with clairgustance. Clairgustance is for those of you who love to cook and can just with the flick of a wrist be able to salt and season and make food like that, make recipes on the fly. That's clairgustance. Tasting it once and making it yourself, that doesn't come from your brain. That comes from your sensory knowing, your delicate sensitivities to communing with the herbs, with the spices, with the food. That's clairgustance. Next time you take a bite of Ashley's delicious food, see if you can hold it in your mouth without chewing for a whole 30 seconds. The memories that will come flooding, the endorphins, the neurological wake up that happens of all of your systems coming online, it's not just the salivary glands. Now you're connecting to the memories, the energies, the emotions, the smells, all these other little subtle energies that are communicating in those few seconds. Okay, now does everyone feel like they have a good understanding of all the
What's the smell one called again?
clairalliance? Alliance. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? No, we're good? Okay, now, do you all feel like you might have a good idea of what your dominant psychic skill is? Mm-hmm. Yes? Okay, so please write that down, because we're going to play with that later in our activation.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
It seems like claircognizance and clairsentience, could those be combined with others, or?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing is that we have all of them.
We have all of them.
Yes, we all have all of them. Those are just kind of predominantly known as those, specifically. Yet, of course, my father, his clairsentience comes on so strong every now and then. I was on my way to see a client in Laguna Beach about 5 years ago, and he has no idea when I'm going where. I mean, as if anybody can keep track of me, right? So he calls me up, and he's like, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, you have to stop, turn around, go home right now. I'm like, whoa, Dad, what's up? What's the matter? And he goes, honey, I don't know what it is. I was taking a nap, and all of this wave, this thing of this energy, my whole body froze up, and it was all about you. And whatever it is you're doing, you have to stop. Whoever it is you're going to go see, it's dangerous. I was like, okay, Dad. Called my client. Say, hey, Nick, I'm not able to come. Da 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 da. He shot himself in the head that day with a note, to me. Thank God my dad's listened to his intuition, and I listened to him. And I felt it when he said that. He was like, honey, that's not safe. Something's up. I don't know what it is. I was like, whoa, thank you, Daddy. Now that's a clairsentient thing, whereas claircognizance is typically more of a men's, thing. But that is a combination thing. He knew that he had to tell me that there wasn't, and he was so clear, right? And he was emotionally charged about it, which is what we're going to get into next. How do you know the difference? How do you know the difference between just an emotional impulse, a reaction, an energetic magnetism, or is that really your intuition talking to you? Right? And there's only one way to find out. And this is also the only way to strengthen and to empower your abilities, is to trust it. Trust yourself. Trust in self is the number one first thing that we're taught to separate from as children. Okay? We are taught to trust authority. We are who decided that was authority, right? And to watch control dynamic. You're not in charge of you. You don't know how to take care of you. I'll tell you what to do. Step one, you have to learn how to trust yourself again, right? That's the biggest code of separation as children that has been mandated by the system to create separation before 5 years old. Because before 5 years old, our brains and our thought systems and our ideas of self are very malleable, right? So you'll find in indigenous tribes that children are raised in darkness without any kind of control systems, any kind of telling them what to do. There are no no's until they're 8 or 9 years old. In the Kogi tribes, in order for their children to be raised with such a strong knowing of self and their intuitive psychic abilities, they're raised in caves so they can know and feel and sense every subtle energy as their own. They teach connection to source, to keep that connection, bless you, and to maintain it by asserting that level of trust in actions. That's where the muscle grows. That's where the other systems and the other abilities come online. And that's where miracles and magic happen all day long. Okay? That's how we're supposed to be operating. And this is an equation of synchronicity that we may do some other day as well, that has to do with the energy of when you're listening, following, and acting on. Because if you don't act on it, then you just basically disregarded yourself and said, nah, I don't trust me. I'll go trust that dude over there who messed up his own life. Really? Yeah. So this is what we get to do, right? So this is the reconnection of trusting yourself, knowing that what you feel is right, because you're the only one who can love yourself enough to know that. Okay, it all starts to come together. Yes?
So you said that there was one thing that enables us to tell the difference between, because I've long sort of pondered this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference in the quality also enables us to do other things? What is that one thing? Is that the trust or is that
The trust is the middle part. The acting on the trust is the third part. That's what seals it in and locks the deal. Getting to that point is what we're going to do right now. Okay? So let's do a little active work on ourselves. Yes, Lev?
Can you explain clairvoyance just one more time? I think I know.
Clairvoyance, clear inner sight. So it's clear inner sight, clear inner hearing, clear inner feeling, knowing, it's cognitive, and then alliance and gustance. Good? Is everyone clear on that? Yes? Okay. Awesome. Now, let's real quick before we get into this equation, let's go through a list of things that we know are absolute no's, because having the discernment of knowing what isn't truth, what isn't purity, what isn't love, means that we have a clear direction of what is, right? So let's go through real quick around some of on the 5-body system, right? Let's feel into what are some physical possible things that can block our intuitive energy channels or our subtle energy systems to flow. Anyone? Physical toxins, pardon?
eating a diet? Well, that's what I was going to say, is eating a diet that has a lot of hormones or artificial things.
Exactly. Other people's energy, that applies to animals as well and their cellular information. Okay? So one of the distortions of eating a lot of meat is that energetically you're taking on that cellular story. Whatever story happened to that animal, you are now having its genetic and DNA integration with your blood, with your brain, with your everything. Okay? So that can even, at the very least, that can just be a filter. Okay? A fuzzy filter. Another fuzzy filter that we have this issue with environmentally now, aluminum. Aluminum is one of the biggest toxins and blocks to the pineal gland, right? To the adrenals, thalamus, hypothalamus, all of that. Lymph nodes. Purify that aluminum out of your body.
Fluoride water?
Pardon?
Fluoride in water?
Well, yes, of course, yeah. All those type of toxins, right? So then we had the physical toxins. Now, emotional energy, right? This is the biggest one that gets in the way of psychic skills, is your emotional attachment to what you might feel you're supposed to feel. Or, oh, I can't trust that, I can't feel that because someone else said something. On that one time, this one thing happened. So getting those emotional stories out of the way. And I have a little trick to show you, like what's the difference between an emotional reaction and a psychic intuitive knowing, okay? Now, mental programs, such as doubt, okay? That's the biggest one. Blame. Because if you're blaming someone else, you just gave them your whole power system. Here's my toolbox, go ahead. The first thing to fix blame is responsibility to the self and innocence. If that person's innocent, so are you. If you take responsibility, so do they. Right? Start growing up here. Okay, then we have our energy body, right? So that's EMFs, 5G, radiation. What kind of sound waves are you putting yourself into? Can you really think you can intuitively channel a clairvoyant, reading if you're hearing all of these outside disturbing noises? No. Create purity of your field in all the different systems. Now, in your causal body, in your karmic contracts and so forth, you could be in a karmic contract with a soulmate who's kind of pushing all these uncomfortable lessons in front of your face, right? Discernment. Thank you for showing me what not to do. Thank you for showing me what else I have left to clear. So there's all of those distractions that we get to turn into discernments. Okay? So now, the process of really getting clear on your intuition is going to take us through those 5 body systems. We're going to integrate the equation of love, because that's going to be your checkpoint, your question. Am I wanting? So here's the biggest question on the star body, the love thing. The expanding your love, that means that you have the desire to give, to share, to offer your services, your love to someone else. Okay? That's how love grows. In offer, in service, in it being shared. Now, the opposite of that is when you desire to be loved. I want that person to want me. Oh my goodness. You lost your power again. Okay? The greatest crimes and frauds and deceptions on the planet come from the people that are living from a place of, I just want to be loved so bad I'll do anything for it. I'll even kill for somebody to look at me, to be accepted, to be wanted. You're either wanting to be loved or you're needing to take it from everyone and anything else. Profoundly simple. Okay?
Can we just take a break real fast?
Yes. That's why I'm out. Like, how we doing? Should we do a little star body check-in? Yeah. And we're all quantum here, so we're going to be channeling going, oh my God. All right, let's do a little star body stretch and breathe. Oh, that's the best compliment ever.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. I just like.
Just on how we're doing it, I have names in here. I thought I'd start at that.